Hey, this is McShay on what was it, Get Up. Um, Small background is he even though he says he would take Bryce Young, his mock draft has the Bears trading back to 4 with the Colts.
Bears trading out of that spot at number 1 overall. And you know that there are many who will wonder, do they consider restarting the quarterback clock, or do they feel they just have their guy in Justin Fields and that's it? Clearly, you think they have their guy.
Listen, personally, I would take Bryce Young if I was Chicago. I don't think that's going to be the decision that they make. I think they're going to move back and take advantage of the fact that you have Houston at 2, Indianapolis at 4, Las Vegas at 7, I believe, Carolina at 9. There's a bunch of teams that want to move up. How far back do they move? We'll find out. But I would do it because I would want Bryce Young because I think he's an upgrade over Justin Fields, and I want his rookie contract so I have 5 years. But I don't think they're going to wind up making that decision, which means they're going to move back with one of these teams. I chose Indianapolis at 4 because if I'm Chicago and I'm Ryan Poles, the GM, I don't want to move out of the spot where I can't get Will Anderson, the defensive lineman from Alabama, or Jalen Carter, the defensive tackle from Georgia. They're the 2 special players in this draft that are not quarterbacks.
Exactly. That's going to be where the threshold is. There's the 3 quarterbacks and the 2 defensive players, and we'll see if the Bears are able to get.
So yeah, real quick, what McShay said, it really grinds my gears. I find it hard not to roll my eyes where people keep saying Bryce Young is an upgrade from Justin Fields, and it's like, in what fucking way? He's like slower, shorter, can't throw his. I don't know, like. People forget that Justin Fields, it's like, what have you done for me lately? And everyone's like, Justin Fields is just Lamar Jackson now.
And that's the thing, too, is that you got guys, there's a reason why they're draft analysts and draft experts and not running a team. So anybody, I keep hearing about this rookie reset, resetting the clock. And I don't understand it because you know what you have in Justin Fields. He's a proven commodity in the NFL. There are so many holes on this roster. You put Bryce Young on that roster, he's going to get absolutely destroyed. He's going to look worse than Justin Fields, in my opinion. But with him being 5'10", a $195, soaking wet, if he's getting beat up behind that offensive line like Justin Fields was, he's getting hurt. He's not going to have – his durability scares me. And it's just nonsense. I don't understand the Bryce Young hype. I think he's overrated in terms of just, what he brings to the table. And McShay also says that Bryce Young is the next Patrick Mahomes. He's the mini Mahomes.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's just like, I do think he's overrated in the sense to think he's really an upgrade over any quarterback that's currently in the NFL right now who's doing anything. Like, yeah, he's better than some of these bums, but we haven't seen him do shit.
Able to get one of those defenders. Going to be fascinating. I'm being told Jim Irsay had a tweet that we want to see. We're going to see this together for the first time.
I love this one. I love this one.
But Jim Irsay has tweeted. Go ahead and put that up because I haven't seen it. He tweeted, "My relationship with the Chicago Bears goes back more than 60 years." And that's a picture of him sitting on a bear at the Lincoln Park Zoo, which is in Chicago. Okay, so he's already very openly talking about making that trade. And I think that is one of the expectations, right? They've tried it with a bunch of veterans the last few years. It hasn't worked.
McShay, I'm going to tell you something about the Bears. You mentioned the defensive players.
Yeah.
They need some offensive line help.
Yeah, they're going to do that
protect their quarterback.
McShay, again, it is up there. We will see you later. McShay with the McBoard. It is up right now on ESPN.com. Fascinating. If you're a draft person, you can't miss it. In the meantime, we'll continue. When McShay said what he just said live here, I knew we have to live in it. And he's not the only one I've heard say it. Let's make this clear. The Chicago Bears have the #1 pick in the upcoming draft. There are many people who believe that kid who just threw that ball, Bryce Young, the undersized but spectacular quarterback at Alabama, who won the Heisman and everything else 2 years ago, that he is going to be the next Patrick Mahomes. And Todd McShay says if it were up to him, McShay, he would trade Fields and draft Young if he was the Chicago Bears. Herman, I was looking right at your face when he said it. What was your reaction?
That I'm keeping Fields.
Why?
Yes, sir.
I just think that when you look at how he plays, he fits that team's style. What he has to do is do what Jalen Hurts did. become a better passer, they got to help him a little bit too. They need some offensive line help, but if he becomes a better passer, you're looking at Jalen Hurts #2. Look.
Sorry. I'm gonna stop him right here. Justin Fields is better than fucking Jalen Hurts. Even though Jalen Hurts has played very well and did great this year, obviously, who would have been the MVP if he didn't get hurt. But he is slower, can't throw as far, doesn't have as much touch, and is smaller than Justin Fields. He's on a way better team.
I was just about to say
not only
that,
does he have a good offensive line, he's got like 2 Hall of Fame offensive linemen. Lane Johnson like hasn't given up a sack in fucking all year or some shit. Kelsey's obviously a Hall of Famer. Goddard's a baller. It's like on top of having a competent defense that's gonna give you the lead, short fields, favorable field position, turnovers, that all plays into it. It's like if you throw fucking Justin Fields on the fucking Eagles, they'd be better.
Yeah, and if you threw Jalen Hurts on the Bears, would they be better or would they be worse?
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to dictate that by saying that Justin Fields is Jalen Hurts 2.0. The ceiling is much higher with Justin.
Yes, I think Justin's like his physical tools are just way better than Jalen Hurts. And not to talk shit about him, like even he probably, you know what I mean? Everybody's got eyes.
He had 8 running touchdowns, right? He had 17 passing touchdowns. Turned the ball over some, but you got to give him some help. Get him some wide receivers. Spruce up that offensive line, spruce it up some.
Right.
You got a good quarterback.
Yeah, they need a lot of help on that team. They were the worst roster in the NFL, and that's why they wound up in that position. But one of the arguments will be you start the clock again on a young, inexpensive quarterback. But, Ninko, you are already shaking your head.
We're going to hear that a million times.
Hello? What are we doing? You're going to trade a guy that you drafted a couple years ago to get a rookie quarterback who's 5'9"? Come on. No, we can't do that. You stay with Fields. You go and you build something through the draft. Give him a piece. Give him something offensively. Give him a better offensive line, and you build with Fields. What are we thinking?
It is worth pointing out, as you know, look, for the record, I'm on this side as well. I would not trade away Justin Fields, but I've heard enough people make the argument. There's 2 reasons. One is you start the rookie clock again. The other is that when you just said you drafted him 2 years ago, but these guys didn't, right? The people who drafted him are no longer in the business. And Herman, you've been around it long enough to know that sometimes guys want their guy. They want the person that they chose, not the person that the guy before me chose.
No, you're right. Yeah, you make a great point there, but I just think that this guy fits the mold of a Chicago Bears quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, for the last 60 years, that hasn't been such a good mold, right?
No.
Yeah, but before we get on to the next one, yeah, that's right. Yeah, hopefully he's not like all the rest of them, even though people swear like Jim McMahon was better than Justin Fields. Just delusion. Yeah, like I said, I'm just tired of the rookie clock thing. It's just a silly thing to say. And I think the whole he's not the guy that they drafted thing is kind of tough too, because it's a lot of pressure as well. It's not as easy as just getting rid of a guy and drafting your guy. It's like it's like if Justin Fields is okay and you pass on Bryce Young and he's better than Justin Fields, it's really not that big of a deal. If you let go of Justin Fields and he's better than Bryce Young, like it's different, like than letting go of somebody and drafting somebody.
That would be the ultimate Chicago Bears thing to do.
Yes. The one time we get a franchise quarterback, we trade him to the fucking whoever just to take a flyer on the toy and it fucks us over.
The brand new shiny toy.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's stupid. And look, they're doing their jobs. They're sports analysts. The Bears are the hot topic because they have the #1 overall pick. They need views. They know that what they say is going to upset some people, majority of people, especially Bears fans. And I know there's Justin Fields detractors out there that are Bears fans. And, I can kind of see why. But if you're a Bears fan and you're going to sit there and tell me right now that you think that Bryce Young is a better quarterback than Justin Fields right now, I want some of what you're smoking.
Yeah, so that's definitely not. Well,
yeah.
We got another clip, Skip and Shannon. They're kind of misrepresenting a quote that Justin made in the Pardon My Take interview.
Shannon Sharp, I got a big problem
I knew you would.
for Justin's sake. I covered the Bears in Chicago in the late 90s at the Chicago Tribune, but more important, I covered in the middle of the 80s, the 85 Bears run to the Super Bowl through the New York Football Giants and the Los Angeles Rams of one Eric Dickerson at Soldier Field. The greatest home field advantage in this league when they have good teams is home cold advantage, not in Green Bay, but in Chicago, because Chicago's weather is worse than Green Bay's to me, and I've experienced both because of the wind. It gets freezing cold, and it gets ridiculously windy coming off that lake. It's home cold advantage.
Yes.
It's part of the Bears' mystique. It's part of the fabric of the franchise is we will beat you in our weather. You have to come play in our weather.
Right.
And Justin's saying, I can't take this weather because I don't like it. I can't throw in the cold. No, Justin, that's who your franchise has been, and you have to embrace it as part of what makes you the Chicago Bears. You don't want to go inside.
Yeah, even if that's the case, you never say that out loud.
That is true.
All right. So first of all, he did not say that out loud. He said that he was slower in the cold and that he had a harder time throwing in the wind in the cold, which I'll say, like Shannon said, I guess you don't say that just because it's not QB talk, but it's just common sense. He didn't make any statement like, oh, I'm a South kid. I can't play in the snow at all or anything like that. Just like I said, Justin isn't media trained yet. His PR lady, I'm sure the Chicago Bears PR team's already sent out some emails and some talking points, and some nice white lady have sat him down and they politely told him that he can't say shit like that anymore. But it's just some kid. I liked it because I thought it was genuine and authentic, where like it didn't feel like someone handed him a script and was like, here, this is what you say in all your fucking interviews. And when I heard it, it's not like what I want to hear either, but I'm also a football player who grew up in Illinois, so I know, yeah, you don't run as fast when you're cold, or fucking it's hard to throw a football in the wind.
Here's what fucks me up about this is Skip talks about, cold field advantage. There is no such thing in today's NFL. The athletes are bigger, faster, stronger than they've ever been. They're more mentally tough and mentally prepared than they've ever been.
I won't say mentally tough, mentally prepared 100%. And they have like people out there warming up the seats and the balls and all type of shit. Like,
yeah, and they have heaters on the sidelines, and you got that adrenaline going and stuff like that. But nobody likes to play in the cold. Nobody, not a single person wants to sit there and play in the cold. It's not happening. Like you said, we grew up in Illinois. We played football in Illinois. We played football in the cold weather. I would be lying to you if I said, and I love football. I love the game of football. I love playing it, love watching it, love studying it. I didn't like going out there in 10 degrees to, go play football. It wasn't something that I enjoyed as much as playing it when I was warm. But realistically, he just said what is on everybody's minds. Everybody's mind in Chicago. We all want a new stadium, but we want the new shiny, toy in terms of stadiums in Chicago, and that's going to come with a roof because we want to host Super Bowls. We want to host, Final Fours. So just because he said what literally probably the entire organization is feeling right now, plus majority of Bears fans, because Soldier Field is atrocious. The field conditions are atrocious. It's one of the worst fields in the league, if not the worst. If anything, it's the field that gives them the home field advantage, and not the weather. It's the goddamn field. So they're taking this completely out of context. They're making it seem like he's, oh, I can't play football in Chicago because it's cold and I don't like the cold. It's not remotely what he said, but I do agree with you as well, is that you probably shouldn't have said that out loud, kid.
Yeah.
You can't say it out loud.
The advantage that you have, Skip, is the weather. When you put a dome, you level the playing field. The one thing I want about home field, Skip, I don't want to level the playing field. I want to have somewhat of an unfair advantage, even if it's just mentally. Even if it's not physically, it's mentally, it's cold.
Because They have to play in it too,
Yes.
but they don't regularly play in it. They have to try to figure out how to play in it just for that one Sunday.
Exactly. Not only do you play in it, you practiced in it. We practiced in the cold in Denver. When it was snow, I'd be like, I used to ask, I said, why the hell do we have a dome? Why we got a bubble? We don't ever go in it. No matter how cold it is,
That's
we're not
true. That's a good point.
We're not going in it. Because
Exactly.
Mike said, guess what? You're not going to be able to go in it on Sunday.
Okay. So as much as I admire what Justin Fields did, mostly with his legs last year,
Yeah.
he's a good thrower, but he's not a great thrower of the football, not yet.
Yeah, he need to go talk to
Tom House, I agree.
Hey, call Jalen Hurts.
Check it out. This is why, this is a smaller reason why I am such a Bryce Young fan that if I ran the Bears right now, I would have a really hard time passing up Bryce Young and letting him go to Indianapolis.
Well, hell, Skip, Justin Fields basically just said trade me. Because guess what? The weather ain't going to brighten up.
No.
It's not like all of a sudden it's about to be Miami.
And you said you wouldn't wish the Bears' offensive line on Bryce Young, or maybe even that wind and cold on Bryce Young. But Bryce Young is special.
Oh, no question.
Bryce Young is a much better thrower of the football as we speak than Justin Fields is.
All right, like I'm stopping right there. It's just bullshit. Like just because he won the Heisman this year, like I didn't see it. Again, I don't watch a shit ton of Alabama games. I've definitely watched more Ohio State games and Chicago Bears games, but I don't see like this special touch where like, oh my God, they're just lighting him up. I see a lot of favorable one-on-one coverages with really good guys against guys they're way better than, and him making pretty good throws. I'm not saying they're not bad throws. I'm just not seeing him carving them up. He's just one of the best players in college football on the best team in college football with the best players in college football, and he had a really good season. But it's just like, I don't see this. Like, clearly everyone can see, only a blind man could see that, or couldn't see that Justin Fields isn't a better passer than Bryce Young. Like, that's just hyperbole.
It's absurd. And again, we talked about, I'll always go back to, and our viewers will know this about me, and they'll kind of get a quick glance. When I look at quarterbacks, first thing I look at is size, not just because to see over the offensive lineman, because as a 5'9" quarterback, it's going to be hard to see over those 6'3", 6'4" guards and tackles to make your throws. And then on top of that, when you're making the shorter throws in the NFL, you have to deal with, defensive linemen with their hands up. At 5'9", how effective can you really be? And number two is the durability issue. You have 300-pound linemen that are throwing you around like a rag doll, and some of these linebackers, these outside linebackers, blitzing safeties, these guys are 250 pounds, 260 pounds, and they're throwing you around like a rag doll. At 5'9", $195, you're not going to last very long in the league with a poor offensive line. Now, in Alabama, you have the best offensive line in college football, like you said, the best offensive line in college football every year, pretty much. You have some of the best playmakers in college football at Alabama. You have the greatest college football head coach of all time at Alabama.
Yeah, top 10 defense, the best running back in the country. Probably like 3 out of the best 10 running backs in the country on your team. Again, and that's Justin Fields had that too, but like Justin Fields, I thought, in my opinion, Justin Fields looked better than Bryce Young ever looked in college. He just unfortunately played the same years as Trevor Lawrence. Like, and that's just all it was. Like, he played the same seasons as Trevor Lawrence, and it kind of fucked him up. But like, if Trevor Lawrence doesn't exist, Justin Fields gets Heisman. And like you said, with the size, it's just, there's never really been a successful NFL quarterback that tiny. They say he's 5'10", 190. And it's like, we were talking about, was it Drew Brees? Like, the only short quarterback, the only one, like, and like you said, it's not just seeing over it is one thing, but just taking those hits, like, when you're the smallest guy on the field, and when you get hit, they're gonna give a little more oomph, a little more pop. They're trying to, when you throw an interception, they're looking for you. If you don't run off the field, they're gonna kill you. Like, that's just a long career of getting like that, and it's easy to keep your jersey dirty in Alabama and only have to grind out, 2 games a year, take a few hits. as opposed to if you're on the Bears, you're getting your ass kicked every night. Every Sunday, you're going to be getting brutalized, and you got to last the whole season. And I think that's one thing Justin isn't getting credit for. It's like he took a beating for us last year, and he really only missed one game, and he made it, and he probably could have played in that game.
He probably could have, but
we didn't want him to. I'm just saying, like, if we were in the playoff hunt, he would have played, and that's what you want to see.
Yeah.
So to me, you risk a long-term nightmare if you let Bryce Young go somewhere else and light it up. You could have had him. You got the first overall pick.
Yeah, Skip,
but to do so, you would have.
Doesn't the same logic apply to Fields? If you let him go, lights it up, you had him.
I said this out loud.
He did.
The weather's not going to change in Chicago.
I got it.
And then to have a guy that
global
in
war
his mind,
Shannon.
he believes that he's slower in the cold weather. he believes that he doesn't play as well in the cold
It
weather
is.
as he does
Anyone
in the
from
warm
Chicago
weather.
already knows. Like
football in the wind.
It snowed like
if
twice
you got
all
the
year.
demons in your psyche,
Yeah, it's been very, very
you got
mild.
to embrace it.
You
this year.
have to understand. I mean,
It's like a really
it's not
cold
easy,
week.
But the Giants quarterback figured a way. It's not easy to throw in Foxborough. Tom Brady figured out a way. And when that's your home, you find ways to, like, okay, maybe I need to, change the arm angle a little bit when it's windy. Maybe there's, I need to drive the ball a little more when it's windy. But you figured that out. Skip, I didn't tell nobody. Mike, I don't really like lining up on the left side to catch the ball out wide. Hey, I just go out there and just make do. Yeah, I like being on the right better. When you put me out wide, I felt better catching the ball out wide in the slot or outside.
I mean, obviously, but it's like, again, they're like misrepresenting what he said. Like he went on the fucking podium. It was like, I don't like playing in the cold. He was like, the part of my take interview, which we'll react to probably next week unless somebody goes crazy on Justin Fields again. It was like some boys talking, or really like some fans talking to Justin. It was a real authentic interview where like he was vulnerable, and I think I said this last time I recorded this, but sometimes I forget growing up, like these, growing up my whole life, Bears players, or I looked up to them and stuff like that. And it's like now they're all kids to me, not all of them, but half of them are, 10 years younger than me, like Justin Fields. And it's like, you forget that like these guys aren't they're just a bunch of kids who are thrust in the lifeline. It's like being the quarterback for the Chicago Bears. Like you can think about it as a fan, but like, can't even fathom the level of stardom that is. Like everyone, like nobody's like you and me, everybody is like in Illinois is the fourth biggest state, and it's like everybody knows you. You're like the man or not the man, or we're gonna blame you for everything. And it's like that's a tough job, and I think Justin's poised to do it. But I don't know if, like I said, it wasn't a silly thing to say, but it's just like he ain't PR trained yet. And he's got to make sure to not say things that people can stretch and take out of context this far, like everyone's doing with this.
Yeah, his work ethic is completely unmatched as well. Because as soon as he was out of that media week for Super Bowl week, he was back in the lab, up in Lake Forest, and he's working out in Lake Forest. You know what I'm saying? Like he's starting to, he's already starting to try to throw the football, and maybe him and Claypool can get in some work together because God knows they need it, especially Chase Claypool. He's getting his receivers together. Hopefully, some magic could be made there. We'll talk about some news on the wide receiver front here in a little bit as well, because it might not just be Claypool and Mooney. So we'll see what happens with that.
Numbers on the right side.
Okay. Do you remember what happened to the New York Giants punter in '85 on the way to the Super Bowl? He tossed the ball to punt it, and it got blown sideways, and he whiffed.
Dipped it.
That's home field mystique.
Right.
That's what the Bears used to be, and Justin Fields wants no part of that.
It's not just Justin Fields. Like no player in the league at all wants any part of it. Like
if I'm the Bears, I'm sitting right there, and I'm taking Bryce Young, and Justin Fields can go to the highest bidder.
Yeah.
And that's why you are not a GM.
Because, like I said, last I checked, my mom's been in Chicago for about 60 years.
Wow.
She says it's always windy. especially in the winters. And the winters are brutally cold.
Call it the Windy City?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
One thing they also have to realize, just this last part, one thing they have to realize